Whenever you use an app or shoot off an email, or heck, just pull some cash out of an ATM, have you ever really stopped to wonder what's happening behind the curtain? Well, it turns out that behind pretty much every secure thing we do online, there's this really powerful but surprisingly simple idea holding it all together. Okay, let's get into it.
Seriously, just think about an ATM for a second. It's literally a box full of money, sitting on a public street, hooked up to a massive global banking network. And yet, we trust it with our finances, day in and day out. Is it just the thick metal box, the little camera? Nope. The real answer is way more fundamental than that. And this secret, it's not just for banks. The exact same core principles protecting that ATM transaction are also protecting a patient's medical records, a company's top secret project, and even just your ability to stream a movie on a Friday night. It's a universal secret for the digital age.
And here it is. It's called the CIA Triad. And no, not that CIA. This is the absolute cornerstone of the entire information security world. What's kind of cool is that it wasn't just invented by one person. It actually evolved over time, right alongside modern computing. It stands for three simple words: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So let's break down what each of those really means, starting with the C.
So the first pillar is confidentiality, and this is probably the one we're all most familiar with. When you think security, you usually think about keeping secrets, right? And with our ATM, the most obvious secret is, of course, your personal identification number, your PIN. At its core, confidentiality is all about privacy. It's the promise that your data is only ever seen by authorized people. It's about making absolutely sure that your private info, whether it's a PIN, a health record, or a private message, stays private. Period.
So how do the pros actually make this happen? Well, they've got a whole toolbox. Encryption is a big one. That's scrambling data so it's unreadable without a special key. Then you've got access controls, which are like digital bouncers at a club, deciding who gets in. And you've definitely used multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That's the little code you get on your phone to prove it's really you.
And this stuff is everywhere. Hospitals encrypt patient records to follow big privacy laws like HIPAA. And every single time you log into your favorite online store with a password and maybe that text message code, you're seeing confidentiality in action, keeping your accounts safe from snoops.
All right, let's move on to the second pillar, I for integrity. Because keeping your PIN a secret is great and all, but what if you take out $100 and your bank account says you took out 1,000? That's a huge problem, and it's a failure of integrity. The data has to be accurate.
Integrity is all about one thing: trust. It's the guarantee that the information you're seeing is the real deal. It's accurate, it's complete, and it hasn't been messed with, either by accident or on purpose. You have to be able to trust your data. The tools for this are actually pretty clever. Take hashing, for example. It basically creates a unique digital fingerprint for a file. If even one tiny part of that file changes, the whole fingerprint changes, which instantly tells you something's been altered. Digital signatures and audit trails do a similar job. They create a verifiable record of who did what and when they did it. So, back in the real world, it's those transaction logs that make sure your $100 withdrawal shows up as $100 on your statement. And on your computer, your antivirus software is constantly checking these file fingerprints, these hashes, to make sure a virus hasn't secretly changed important system files. That's integrity working behind the scenes.
Okay, so your PIN is secret, your balance is correct. But what happens if you drive to the ATM at 2 in the morning because you desperately need cash and the machine is just dark, off? That brings us to our final pillar, availability. The system has to actually work when you need it to.
Availability is pretty simple. It's the promise that when someone who's supposed to access information needs it, they can get to it. It's all about keeping the lights on and the systems running. Because really, what good is perfectly secret, perfectly accurate data if you can't get to it when it matters? This part is often about building really resilient systems. Companies use redundant servers, so if one goes down, another one just takes over instantly. They have these super detailed disaster recovery plans. And they use tools like load balancing and DDoS protection to handle massive rushes of traffic, and to fight off attacks designed to crash them. And this is where you see availability on a massive scale. When you're binge-watching your favorite show, it's the giant, redundant systems at places like Amazon Web Services that keep Netflix streaming without a hitch, even if some of their hardware fails. Or think about a huge Black Friday sale. It's availability that keeps that website from just crashing under the weight of millions of shoppers all at once.
Okay, so we've looked at confidentiality, integrity, and availability as three separate ideas. But the real magic of the CIA Triad is seeing how they all have to work together.
and sometimes how they push and pull against each other. It really is a constant balancing act.
And this table just nails our ATM analogy perfectly, right? Confidentiality is your secret pin. Integrity is making sure your balance is correct, and availability is that machine working for you 24/7. You need all three for that ATM to be a system you can actually trust. And this is maybe the most important thing to get. These three pillars aren't separate things you can check off a list. They're all connected. A weakness in one can cause the whole system to come crashing down. You can't just focus on one and forget the others.
So, to see what I mean, let's look at a classic, nasty example of this imbalance. What actually happens in a ransomware attack? It's a single event that can just shatter the triad.
So let's walk through it. First, a hacker gets in, and bam, they encrypt a company's files. Right there, by changing that data without permission, integrity is immediately violated. Then, because all the files are scrambled, the people who are supposed to use that data, the employees, are completely locked out. And just like that, availability is gone too. See? One attack and two legs of our triad are kicked right out from under us.
And that really brings the whole point home. Real, tough security isn't just about having the world's strongest password or the biggest firewall. It's about building a balanced system where confidentiality, integrity, and availability are all working together, all in harmony.
This is exactly why the CIA Triad is still so important for people in the security field. It's a way of thinking that helps them make tough decisions. It forces them to ask questions like, okay, if we make this system easier to access for our users, does that hurt its secrecy? If we lock this down tighter, does it make it harder to verify the data? It's all about managing that tension.
So now that you're in on the secret, think about your own digital life for a minute. Are you using strong, unique passwords to keep that confidentiality? Do you have good backups to make sure you have the integrity of your important files? And are those backups actually easy to get to, ensuring their availability when you might really need them? Take a look. Is your digital life in balance?
Definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me today.